Hi, my name is David Welch. I'm coming to you today from Brothers Tech Center. I'm going to show you how to install our dual electric fan system. Now this is designed for the aluminum radiators that we sell, so they match right up. They're going to come with your fans, obviously. It comes with your electric system and the instructions that I'll show you how to install right here, which I'll show you also, and it comes with our aluminum fan shroud right here. Now why do you want to use the dual electric fans? All the modern cars are coming with electric fans these days. A lot of times your fan clutch, they'll go bad, and when they do, it'll lock up the fan and it'll be continually running. It'll make the truck sound like it's an airplane trying to take off. So update your system, get a little bit more space in the front too. You're doing LS conversions, this is going to help you get some more space up in there. So we're going to clean up our ride, we're going to get more space, we're going to be a little bit safer, we don't have to worry about losing any fingers to our fan. Let me show you how to install this guy. First thing we're going to want to do is drill the holes for the fan to be able to mount in there. Now it comes with this system right here. I really don't like this system. It just isn't that tough. I won't even bother showing you. This is your better way right here. This little plastic gig, that's just going to fit right into that slot right there. So you get 4 of these guys and they'll fit right on nice and neat. Now the fan is going to want to fit perfectly in here, so you'll get that on there. We'll go ahead and measure, and what I want to do is this is just a hair under 19 inches. So half of that's going to be 9.5. I'll mark that. I'll turn this around and I'll mark 9.5. And then right in between those 2 marks is going to be my center, and I don't have to do any serious math on how to divide 3/4 in half. Right here, you'll see these bars. You can line that up with the mark and double check to make sure that you're getting good clearance everywhere. We'll get our other fan on here too. And we'll put on its supports. So get everybody lined up really nice and pretty. Double check everything. Mark my holes to drill. And the reason that I'm doing this upside down is because it helps it fit perfectly into the sides right here. You'll note this edge right here shaved off, and so this fits in really nice. That'd be a little bit more difficult to duplicate if it was on top. After I get it where I want it perfect, I'll go ahead and mark my holes. I'll drill those out, and then I'll bolt these in. So give me a few minutes to do that, and I'll be right back. All right, we've got our holes all drilled up. I'm pulling off my protector here, and I can go ahead and start bolting my frames in. Now, these don't come with the nuts and bolts. I like to use 1/4-20 bolts and nuts, and it's just going to fit on there nice and neat like that. So when you're working on these things, you want to make sure that you're keeping everything nice and neat and clean. So I'm going to cut off the zip ties that are holding those on. And when I install my fans, I'm going to make sure that my electrical connections are facing each other. Now I can take a zip tie and I can use this support right here. And I can go ahead and zip tie it to here, making it nice and secure. Remember, a loose jiggling wire is a broken wire sooner or later. So make sure that you leash these guys down and you don't have a lot of movement. I'm going to go ahead and take off my fan now, and I'll be taking off some of my shroud and everything else. I'll see how easy or hard this is to take out. Sometimes you have to do the shroud and the fan and the whole 9 yards at one time, and other times you can pull them apart separately. I forget from year to year, so we're going to find out on this one. It's only 4 screws holding those on Typically they're going to be 1/2 inch, maybe 7/16 sometimes. We got lucky and there's studs on this, so that's going to keep our pulley and everything on. But if you have bolts that are in there, when you take off your last bolt, your pulley is going to fall off. And you're going to be wanting to expect that and have to line it back up and get the bolts back in. You'll more than likely have to loosen up your power steering and your alternator or your AC in order to get enough tension off of the fan belts in order to get your pulley back on, but it shouldn't be a big deal. Now you need to be wary. The fins on the radiator, they can get damaged pretty easily, so be careful when you're pulling this out. If you're really worried about it, cut a piece of cardboard out and go ahead and slide it right in there, then you don't have to worry about it at all pretty much. So now I can just slide out the fan and the shroud at the same time, kind of. Ready to install my fan shroud. Now I put tape on both sides right here to hold the radiator back, or hold it forward, so I can get more room to slide this guy on in. Now obviously you can see that doing this with the radiator in is a bit more difficult. It's going to be a lot easier to do this with the radiator out. I'm just trying to save a few steps. If you are assembling your truck for the first time, obviously do all of this before you put it in the truck and not after. Getting the screws in the very bottom is going to be a bit difficult. So this fits on really firm, and so I'm just using this to spread it a little bit so I can go ahead and slip it on here. And there you go. You can see how nice and tight that fits on. So I'll position this just where I want it, then I'll go ahead and drill in the self-tapping screws that'll hold this in permanently. This right here, this right here is known as a self-tapping screw. You'll notice that the end looks like a drill bit, and what that'll do is actually drill right into the metal, and then you can screw it in. You're going to want to be a little bit careful when you do this. You don't want to go so far and so fast that you strip out the bolts. You're going to want to get the hole drilled in, get the screw in most of the way, and then go ahead and finish off by hand once you get them all in. Now I'm going to get my top nice and secure, then I'll go ahead and drill the holes for the bottom. We're pretty much done with all the mechanical, getting our fans on and everything. We're switching to electrical now. This is the fan relay that comes with the kit. Now what a fan relay switch does is it's just an electrical switch versus a mechanical switch. You generally want to have these as close to the battery and the operating fans. Now yellow is going to be the power. It's going to go to the battery, but you're going to want to put a fuse in there. If you do not have a fuse and the wire shorts out, it's just going to burn and melt your whole truck down. So you're going to have to make sure that you put in the fuse between the battery and the relay here. The red is the power that is going to be going to the fans, and we've got some electrical connections. I'll show you how to set that up in just a bit here. The orange wire is going to go to your ignition switch power. So when the ignition switch is on, this will have power. When it's off, it won't. The gray wire right here, that's going to go to the sending unit that tells the fans to come on or not, and I'll show you how to put that on in just a second. So I'm going to get this set up, and then I'll show you what comes next. My power to my relays all set up. Now I'm going to work on my power to my fans. You want to get a little bit of dielectric grease and put them on these fittings. Don't use too much or it will sometimes interfere with the electrical flow, but you put a little bit on there and it'll help keep corrosion down. Once I get that on there, I'll go ahead and just plug these right in. They just plug and play. Simple. And then I'll bring my wires up here. Now your black wires, they're your ground. So I'll strip a piece off here. I'll go ahead and wrap these guys together. We'll put on one of these style fittings right here. Electrical connection. clamp it down. And this actually has a shrink wrap that is attached to it here. So all you got to do is get a little bit of heat on that guy, and it'll shrink wrap down on there and make that a nice firm connection, and also help keep moisture out. So my ground, I'm just going to go ahead and connect it up here. I'm going to also sand this off a little bit here and put a little bit of dielectric grease there, because if you get a poor ground, your fans are not going to work. I'm going to basically do the same thing for my power here. I'm going to strip it, and then I will hook it up to the red power that's coming from our relay. So your gray wire is going to be the trigger wire, and what it is, it's a negative trigger for the relay. So what happens is, if you were to take this gray wire and simply touch it to anywhere on the engine and ground it out, it'll make the relay come on and turn on your fans. If you want to put on another switch to turn the fans on independently inside of the cab, just in case, then all you would do is get a wire and you would join it onto this, route it into the cab. You would have one side attached to the switch, and the other side of that switch would attach to the ground, because again, this is a ground trigger on the relay. Now this is going to attach to your sending unit here, and all that's going on in here is that when it reaches a certain temperature, this grounds out to the engine block. So when you install this, you cannot use any Teflon tape on here or any of the other items that is used to seal up any piping. You have to make sure that you've got a solid ground on this and to the block. If you don't have an extra hole in order to be able to screw this in, you can get a thermostat housing that has a proper receptacle. So I'm going to switch this out and connect it and zip tie down all this stuff and make it nice and neat. I've taken my orange wire and I've routed it into the cab, and I've connected it to the fuse box on a specific wire that'll only come on when the ignition is on. I have the ignition on right now, and I can test the system by using a jumper wire. I'll put it on the top of the sending unit right here, and then I'll ground it out on the engine block. So there you can hear the fans coming on. And we know that all of our electrical is done correctly. The next thing we'll do is start the engine, let it get up to operating temperature, and then see if the fans come on. If they don't, more than likely, you're not getting a good ground down here. So double check that before you get out on the road. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure that when you're routing all of these wires and everything, you keep them away from anything sharp, anything hot, anything that's going to cut them. And I just did this quick just to show you how, but when you're doing it, put your own personal stamp on it. Customize it up. Really hide the wires. Take your time and make it your own. You be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I'm doing these every single week to help you get your truck back on the road. We'll see you out there.